Just when you start thinking the internet is getting over the game key card situation for the Nintendo Switch 2, it just gets out of hand. I mean, look at this for a second. We just had this the other day, the Resident Evil 30th generation pack. I think when this came out, people were really surprised that this is actually a great deal. I wasn't really planning on getting Resident Evil 9 at launch, but this package, which includes Resident Evil 7 and 8, is $90. That's not bad, considering that Resident Evil 9 is going to be $70 by itself. So you get two extra games for $10 each. Yes, these are game key cards, but when people see the value here, like this is game key cards done right, it's like, okay, that's not a bad deal. But this video is not about Resident Evil. It's you've probably seen the thumbnail, unless I've changed it because you haven't liked or subscribed. But this is about Pokopedia. This game was announced. I don't think anybody saw this coming. This game was announced as a game key card, a first-party Nintendo Switch 2 game as a game key card, and like this has gotten just the entire internet going crazy because this is if Nintendo, everyone thought, myself included, that every first party Nintendo Switch game was going to be on the cart. And this is Pokemon, okay? Like, it doesn't get more first party than that. Now, I've seen some stuff go around that's like, oh, Koei Tecmo is the developer. You can see it here. That Koei Tecmo is the developer. And so, they're the reason why it's not... It's a game key card, because this isn't developed by Nintendo or something. It's still published. Nintendo's still the publisher down here. So, I don't know. It's Pokemon. I do think there are a few reasons for this, and it really opens the door for speculation into the future. First off, you can see down here, it's a 10 gigabyte game. Now, I think with Pokopia, which also, by the way, is going to be a $70 game. So this is a very expensive game key card, especially when it comes to first party. I've picked up a couple game key cards. Yakuza 0, Pac-Man World 2, and what was the other one? Bravely Default. So Bravely Default was like $40, Pac-Man World 2 was $30, Yakuza 0 was $50. I think 50 and below for a game key card, not bad. That's how it should be. This is a $70 game key card, and this game in general doesn't really look like a $70 game. You could say what you want with the graphics, they don't look good, but all around the whole package just seems like, honestly, when it was announced, I thought this was going to be a digital only game. The fact that it's getting a physical release is honestly really surprising me in general. I really think that there's some testing going on with this game. I do think this is a use case. I don't know if it's so much of how much they can get away with, or maybe it's just like the $80 games, a case by case basis where they're just testing different business models and possibly just making the biggest profit margins out of it. A game like Pokopia, this game here, whether it was $40, $50, $20, $80, $70, I think it's going to sell the same amount of copies. I think this is an incredibly niche game, big on the Pokemon fans who are, the fans of Pokemon who like anything Pokemon, not just the main games. I'm more of a Pokemon fan who likes the main games, the mainline games. This is something that historically I would skip out and buying. So I think the customer base for this is niche, and even something like Pokopia that even collectors, even if this was full on cart and people who are Nintendo fanboys, I think this is a candidate that people would skip. So I do think that's largely why it is priced at $70. If this game was put on the cart, maybe they would have put it up to $80 to get the same profit margins. So they used the game keycard strategy to cut costs. And yeah, even still, I don't think it's a $70 game. Maybe it's I don't know, $60 it should be, but they're trying to push it up to $70. Again, I do think that the customer base for this is pretty set in stone. They know that if this is a 1 million copy seller or less, an 800,000 copy seller, that's all they're going to get. And so I don't know if they're using an aggressive price to try to get the most profit out of it. Because part of me wants to say that they're using this, a first party game keycard, to see is game keycard affecting the sales of the game. And I don't really think that's going to be the case here, because I don't think there's going to be many people who, this being a game keycard is the reason they don't buy the game. I think that's a very, very, very small market. Now, for me, I have been trying to collect more physical games. I don't mind game key cards. I don't hate them. I, as a collector, I this really disappoints me that this isn't on the cart. It's first party Nintendo. I think the Nintendo Switch 2, in like when all said and done, it's gonna be historically one of the best libraries of games ever made. And so the fact that here's a first party game and it's not on the cart, the collector on me of me is really disappointed. Which is dumb because that's the collector of me. Like the logical side of me is like I wouldn't even buy this game normally. Um the reason I am gonna probably get this game, and the fact that it's a game key card is making me not pre-order the game for $70. I am gonna hold out and wait for it to go on sale, but I am probably gonna get the game, and that's purely because of just like my kids, specifically my daughter. It's really easy for me to buy games that I know I'm gonna be able to share with my son, but there's some that are like, when it comes to my daughter, I still want to be able to share my hobbies with her. And a game like Pokemon, that's a great franchise where, and this game in particular, which is kind of a Pokemon Animal Crossing game, this is something that'd be nice to have on the shelf, as they grow up. So our family shelf of games, and then as she explores, maybe there's something that like that would speak to her. My wife put 400 hours in Animal Crossing. This has a lot of Animal Crossing life sim vibes. I think this will get value in my situation. Not everyone's in my situation, but in my situation. And so I would much rather have the game key card than this be a digital only game, because uh, sharing digital games with the Switch 2 is horrible. It used to be great on the Switch 1 when you can sign into multiple Switches and just download them and have other users access it. Basically, having unlimited copies of the game. It was great for me and my wife with Animal Crossing. Now here I am about to buy Animal Crossing Switch 2 edition so I can have two copies of it. So we have a multiplayer option in the future within our household. Um, so the game key card, that doesn't bother me in general because I have shareability of it. Again, this is also a game that isn't super my cup of tea. I think I'll play it. Maybe I'll only get 5 hours out of this before I'm like, it isn't for me. I'm assuming it's not for me. Maybe I'll get something of value out of it. And then there's that shareability point, and in an extent, a collectability thing. I mean, my big stance on game key cards is like it's still a physical game. I can sell it. So if I don't like the game and like this video doesn't age well for me personally, I'm like, man, that was so stupid. Like I just bought it for like no reason really. Like those reasons were stupid. I can sell the game. If it was digital, I can't sell it. I have many digital games. I have a big digital library. I can't sell any of those games. I'm stuck with them, and now they're hard to share. So the shareability is very important with me. But yeah, the fact that they're doing this with the game key card, the collector side of me is very disappointed. And um, but then the logical side of me is like, everyone's talking about game preservation and all of that, and that's why game key cards are banned. And if the servers go offline, inevitably the servers will go online. But at the same time, I'll flip on this if the news comes out that a game key card can no longer be downloaded from the services. And see, that's gonna be really weird because any digital game that gets pulled from a digital storefront, if you've already purchased it, you can still re-download it. I don't know of any game that you can't re-download anymore. So if you know of one, let me know down like in the comments. But like, a bigger concern is like Overwatch 1. If you bought that, you can't play that. And that's not really like, maybe that's pulled from the storefronts now. You can download it, but you can't do anything with it. Like that's a dead game. But yeah, when it comes to the servers being shut down, I mean, Nintendo's doing great right now. They're only going to keep doing better. I mean, look at some of the news about their investor meeting. They're looking to release one movie a year. And so I think just, having a movie like the Mario movie, the Zelda movie, Mario Galaxy movie, one movie per year, I think that their brand's going to grow even bigger. I can't wait to take my kids to these movies. And every year we're going to be able to go to a Nintendo branded movie. So just Nintendo's going to grow bigger and bigger. And really the only way the servers get shut down is if Nintendo goes under. And that's not happening anytime soon. I think that as long as the game key cards can still work on the Switch 3, which even at that point, the fact that Pokopia, a first-party Nintendo Switch game, is a candidate and not, out of the question of being a game key card, we might get to the point where like first party games become so big, which people want better graphics. They want Pokopia to have better graphics. But with bigger graphics come bigger file sizes, and I don't know, when it comes to Switch 3, it might be the fact that so many games are game key cards on Switch 2 that Nintendo's also going to go to game key cards, and instead of trying to produce a 200 gigabyte game, a 200 gigabyte key card to hold their first party Nintendo games, they're just going to make everything key cards across the board, and then that's just going to increase profit margins. They make more money, just like how they make more money if you buy a digital game on their digital storefront, but then you can't resell, and it's very difficult to share. So, as long as this works on the Switch 3 and they still have the downloads, let's see, the Switch 2 is probably going to be a 10-year life cycle. We're only like, 5 months into the Switch 2's life cycle. So we basically have like 10 years left to go. I'll be in my 40s. And then if these all work on the Switch 3 and that's a 10-year life cycle, I'm going to be in my 50s by the time that happens. And, assuming then the servers aren't going to shut down. If at that point they no longer have a keycard slot for the Switch 4 or beyond, or if they finally just stop making the Switch branded systems and move on to something else, I can still download Xbox 360 games, even though the store shut down. I did that last year. I bought a hard drive. I downloaded everything onto a 360 hard drive. And like those servers aren't shut down. It's pretty funny. It was erroring every time I tried. Like I start my day, start to do some downloads in the background, and it would always error out. I feel like no one's downloading 360 games, so like some server was waking up, and so it was failing until like after like 10, I pinged it, and it's waking up the server, and then like 10 minutes later, it's allowing me to download, and I was good for the rest of the day until the next day. The same thing happened again and again. Yeah. So if Nintendo keeps doing well, I don't think there's going to be an issue with downloading these games, or they're going to shut down in terms of a game preservation standpoint. And even so, when you download a game and use a game key card, it can be used offline. You don't have to connect to the internet like a digital game. So, like, eventually, let's say the Switch 3 and micro SD card storage space increases. If I have like a 10 terabyte micro SD card or a 30 terabyte micro SD card in like 20 years, yeah, because these are big games, big file sizes. But if I can install them all on a micro SD card before I retire, and I have all these key card games, and like at that point I'm in my 50s, and they're just, everything's just working as if I have it. And who knows, maybe I start getting dementia and I don't even realize it's a game key card. I think it's just a physical game. I forget that it's just like downloaded on the SD card that I forgot's even in the system, whatever. And then at that point, if the server shut down, like I have all the retro games, and there's not every game's a game key card. There's like I don't have much life left in me by the time this situation happens where the servers are done, and I downloaded everything, and then like my SD card died, or my Switch 2 got bricked, and I can't re-download anything, and I'm already have enough money for retirement, so I don't really care about selling it because I'm good. Like I'm good. And like, I don't know, you could probably just emulate this stuff anyway if I really, if you really wanted to. And but I don't know. I don't think there's a big worry about game key cards and the preservation argument. Like, yeah, there is technically, but it's a big doomsday argument. But that doesn't mean I don't want it on the card, especially like for how much you're paying. It's way more, collectible to do that. I love my 4K movies. They're on the disc. I don't want to be streaming. I don't want it to be like a code, or have a digital copy and buy it digitally off Amazon. Like, I understand that, but when it comes to software, either way, it's still installed onto the system. I know like the other cards, they're not installed, so like these game key cards, since they're installed, they actually get better performance. But yeah, so that would be really disappointing if like Switch 3 games are all game key cards and that's the future. We've already had game key discs for PlayStation, Xbox. I don't think the next generation Xbox, like all these games aren't even to get any type of physical release. I mean, if you hate game key cards and you're a PC gamer, you're all digital anyway. You can't lend or sell your games. And again, the lending, that's like before I never lent games to friends. Now that like I'm starting a family and all that, like the whole borrowing thing is a whole different situation. So whatever situation you're in now might not be the same situation as 10 years. So I don't know. I think it's good to have a balance of physical and digital games. But Yeah, this game keycard situation, it's concerning for sure. My stance on the game keycards, I just went over it, but I will flip that stance if any of these game keycards become just actual just waste and you pop one in and then you can't download it from the server. Then it's actual garbage, and um, that would be crazy. But we have games like that already, like Concord, so I don't think this is exclusively a game keycard situation. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. How outraged were you at this situation, or are you actually easing up on the game card key card situation? What about the Resident Evil situation? Is this something that you would have got if it wasn't a game key card, or is this deal too good to pass up? Because I'm on the team that this deal is too good to pass up, and I probably would have bought Resident Evil 9 on the PlayStation 5. Maybe I would have bought this whole pack on PlayStation 5. But I don't think that's coming on PS5 outside of Japan. So Switch 2, I mean, it's going to ultimately have a great library, and I'm going to enjoy games by playing games. Whether it's a collectible or not. I'm a gamer first. I want to play the games. I'm a collector second. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. If you made it this far, make sure to like and subscribe. There are a lot of you out there who've been watching my videos. I know there's some casual viewers out there who haven't subscribed yet. So please do. That's a huge help. And I'll see you in the next video. Later.